I love talking to animals. They don't use flattery. They always are honest with their humans.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard for humans it's a hard pill to swallow, but
Mm.
I think it's a reminder for us to look at ourselves and how to improve ourselves so that we can improve the life of our animals.
Welcome to the Self Within podcast, where we will look to ancient traditions and modern insights to seek guidance, knowledge, and practical tools to help us reconnect with our true selves. Join me, your host, as we explore various topics from mindfulness and meditation to energy healing, astrology, and much more. Hey everyone, welcome to the Self Within. Today's conversation is going to explore a perspective that I think many of us feel, but perhaps can't always put into words. And that's the deeper connection that exists between humans and animals. So whether it's our own pets, animals we care for, or even brief encounters that we may have with animals in everyday life, these relationships, these moments in time can sometimes mirror things back to us. They can reflect our emotional states, our patterns, and sometimes even parts of ourselves that we're not fully aware of yet. So, we'll be exploring in this episode how animals may be guiding us just as much as we believe that we're guiding them, and what that can reveal about our own journeys. Joining me for this conversation are Julia Weng, who is an animal communicator. She helps to bridge the understanding between humans and animals on an energetic and intuitive level. And then we have Brad Thibodeau, a dog trainer and founder of Dog Taoist. His work goes beyond obedience training into building deeper relationships rooted in awareness, respect, and mutual understanding. Welcome, Julia and Brad.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Yes, I met both of you in different ways. Brad, you trained our family dog, and we're so super grateful. And then, Julia, you were on one of my podcasts just recently. And then I learned that you also have this other amazing skill set, which is like talking to animals. And that left me so curious. I was like, what can she tell me about what my animal is thinking, right? Because I think if you're a pet owner, you have this deeper desire for understanding, like, what does this relationship that we have with essentially another being that doesn't really commute, like, we don't really speak the same language, I'll just say. Of course, we're communicating constantly, but what are they trying to tell us and teach us? I always think of relationships as teaching moments and teaching opportunities. So, was there a specific moment or maybe a specific animal in your life that changed how you understand the human animal relationship? And Brad, I'll start off with you.
So there have been so many. I grew up with dog trainers and breeders that showed dogs and dog sledded and trained local dogs to be good pets, which when I was a child, it was an unheard of vocation. Nobody
Mm.
was a pet dog trainer. There were dog trainers that specialized in hunting and in scent work and in canine work or protection. And there was all types of dog sports that people trained. But the whole idea of going into a home and seeing the situation and seeing what the dog's going through from their eyes, that was a very specialized idea in the 70s and in the 80s. So growing up, I knew that dogs needed a small amount of boundaries and rules to feel safe before they were capable of sustaining any type of long-term information. And particularly when it comes to humans' expectations about their dogs. So I'd say not just one experience, but almost every experience I've had with thousands of dogs over the years since I was 5 have been similar. And that this dog is just really confused about why he's in someone's living room. He didn't even exist a year ago. And now here he is on the planet and he's not hunting, which he was conditioned to do for maybe 2 or 3 or 5 or more thousand years. Genetically, he's not being nourished. So there's no pattern of schedule that he understands. So he wakes up and he's just another day of chaos unless there's some way to bridge the gap between the communication. And I think dog owners really get stuck there. They don't know how to bridge the gap, and they don't understand their dogs, and they think their dogs are either good or bad, or they bite or they don't bite. And like most things, that's just not accurate. There's a whole area of nuances that are missed in dog training and in the translation between trainer and dog owner and dog. And that's a large part of what we do at Dog Taoist.
So it sounds like from an early age, you could understand or maybe see the need that your dogs had for some level of guidance, some level of security, of confidence coming from someone else. So it's amazing that you were able to understand that and see that even early on. And I would maybe attribute it to you being just surrounded by lots of dogs and animals in your life too, growing up.
Yeah, agreed. And I had the modeling too that most, I think, don't have access to. Just a family compound obsessed with the health of a pack of dogs. So there was this constant in my life of a pack of dogs and watching dogs be bred and trained and raised. That's a large part of what we do, as well as just take from Mother Nature and try to recreate that in today's modern society, which is, again, challenging for dog owners because they don't think about this. And a lot of the access they have to the information online is so contrary to another expert or to their own comfortability.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, Julia, just turning over to you, I kind of want to go into this a little bit deeper, which is what do you think that animals are here to teach us? We're obviously drawn to certain animals or we're drawn to a pet. And it's interesting because I brought this up with my husband the other day. I was like, our dog in a way picked us. And he was like, well, I picked her. And I said, yeah, but still, I think that the dog also picked us. Like there was some instant attraction that happened where my husband at the end of the day picked the dog, but there was something that made him pick our dog versus her siblings, right? So there was that instant attraction. So what is that karma that we might have with our pets?
I wouldn't say it's karma, but I would say that we would have a deeper meaning beyond the physical in terms of this relationship. And not just animal and human. I think everyday interaction with other people, there's got to be a deeper meaning behind the why and how it leads to this results that we are facing today. And I think for animals, I feel at the soul level, and that's also why I'm more interested in communicating with animals at the soul level, because at the regular level, we might be interested in what does my dog like to eat? Is he happy with his life? What can I do more for him? And these are things that I feel that as pet owners, we already kind of know. We're just not really trusting our intuition and how our connection is with our animals. But then at the soul level, I feel like even with human interaction that we have, there is a reason that we are here today. I'm not choosing any other dogs. I decided to choose you. For example, I have a client that doesn't really trust other people. So she's like more like an introvert. But she decided to rescue this dog from a dog meat farm in another country. And she's never had a dog. And she came to me first. I was like, maybe you should go to a dog trainer first, right? Just someone who has worked with dog with like past history of abuses and trauma. But she's like, I don't trust people. I'm like, that's weird, but you trust that you can handle this dog that has serious trauma issues. And so she just said that, well, she's very spiritual, so she's more interested in the spiritual. But then when I talk to the dog at the soul level, the dog is like, I have fear, and she has fear too. And that's what got us together at the first place. I mean, in the 3D reality, she rescued this dog out of compassion. So she chose this dog. But then maybe unconsciously, she also chose this dog because she wants to work on her trust issue. And
Mm.
so I had to tell her that you need to trust the trainer more and go to the trainer. As an animal communicator, she wants me to tell her dog not to be afraid, to forget all about her trauma, but that's not practical. So I was like, you need to go to a trainer. And she's like, for a whole year, she doesn't want to go to the trainer. And she wants me to help her meditate with her dog. I was like, I can do all of that for you, but I cannot take money for things that I cannot change for your dog. Eventually, the meditation did help because she starts to realize that she is always triggered by her dog's fear and she cannot really embrace her sovereignty. And so she starts to work on that lesson with her dog, trusting people more. So she eventually go onto a website and look for dog trainers. And she tried various dog trainers who finally settled with this particular one who helped her dog become accustomed to normal life. And I was like, hmm, I wanted to help her from a communicator's point of view, like to tell her that just meditating with her dog is okay, is enough. You don't have to do your inner work. But then she flipped this around the other way. Like first I thought she would go to a trainer, but then she flipped this. So I do feel that yes, there's been a change in her life and her relationship with her dog. But the inner work that she did, that is amazing as well because she finally decided to trust herself and trust her dog and then trust the lesson that her dog wants to teach her and trust the trainer. And that helped flip her life around because before she was closed off in her apartment. She could not go outside because her dog is not going outside. She goes away from home, then her dog has an anxiety issue. So it was really a messy time in her life. So I was glad that it turned out that way. And it also solidified my understanding that it's an honor and a privilege to have an animal in your life. And there's something deeper that you can explore in that kind of relationship. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. I mean, the first part of it, the instant attraction, right? So like attracts like, essentially this trauma that they both had, fear. So even though the subconscious attraction was the first thing, throughout the relationship, she ends up discovering what her own inner pattern is. And that's so interesting. And I feel like we're not always listening. I mean, she had you in her life as sort of a guide to help facilitate, go find the trainer, certain little like communication nuances that you might not get just living an everyday life with your pet. So, Brad, I see you as such a spiritual dog trainer. What's your take on what we just heard from Julia?
It's a very common story that I hear often, with the exception of someone going to skilled communicator like Julia. So they get a dog, but their life isn't together. And
Mm.
our dogs are often our mirrors. And so I have to help the humans get their act together first. And that's really challenging because dogs do not follow, animals in general do not follow unstable emotional content. So they follow stability and safety, and those protocols are built into their instincts. And so we have to help them feel that in this, again, a weird world that they're really not used to, with all the screens and noises and trucks and cars. And so dogs are often scared of everything, and we insulate them. So many people become like Julia's client, where they're going out at 4:30 a.m. in the morning because their dog is so scared and reactive and they don't know how to fix it. So they want to stay away from other dogs and other people and strangers and strange bicyclists and everything in the world, when in reality, if we teach them the beauty of all of those things, that they can ignore them. We don't have time to explore every car or truck or bark at everyone, that those things don't even have to exist unless I say they do. And I try to get every dog into that position where they look up at us and say, okay, what time is it now? And again, I have to confront each dog owner and ask, are you ready to flip that inner paradigm that you have about your dog around? Because it's not accurate. And you've got to be open to really watching and listening for how your dog expresses themselves. And that's a lifetime's worth of education and work that people often have to do just for themselves to feel a sense of comfortability in their own skin. So we get a dog often hoping that dog will help us with that. But in reality, what often happens is we just keep this negative, insecure cycle looping. It's from us to the dog, us to the dog. And then the dog's world gets smaller as we continue to insulate it from all these things it's scared of. And often it's too late, not too late for a training, but it becomes so far. They wait 5 years and until the dog just doesn't know what to do, doesn't understand anything, and is now using its coping mechanisms based on its instinct. And we don't want that because those coping mechanisms are not healthy or safe for our lives. They're biting, scratching, yelling, barking, running from the door to the window, constantly alerting there's somebody new to the pack, insistently barking, spinning in circles, eating the couch, chewing the pillows, shredding the rugs, being underfoot constantly when you're cooking. So there's no harmony there. It's just chaos. And then the human yells at the dog and the dog barks back. And then again, we start this loop from frustrationville to affectionville as the human feels bad after they get mad. So then they go pet the dog. And all they're doing then is affirming that whole experience was good, because affection is affirmation. And it tells our dogs this is exactly what you should be doing in this moment and how you should be feeling in this moment. Good dog, good girl. When in actuality, we should not say anything to our dogs and just let them neutrally go through that experience if that's what we're trying to help do, like get a dog over one of their triggers, another strange dog approaching.
It sounds like sometimes our pets can be like excuses for our own unresolved issues. It's like,
Yes.
oh, they have anxiety, but so do you. I mean, it sounds like, because in some way we're connected to our pet. Again, I think it's unconscious, these patterns and these things that we're triggered by. And so it's like, oh, they don't want to go outside. Oh, they are scared of X, Y, or Z. And so it becomes so much about them, but it's also in some way, you as the owner, you're protecting yourself from the thing that you don't want to do, right? As you said, maybe you don't want to take them out for a walk and you avoid other dogs and you don't want to do all these other things. And so that's interesting. I mean, just to be conscious and aware that could be happening. And I would say for all of those listening, notice, are there certain patterns that you have with your pet or that you're seeing your pet that maybe you're also falling into, right? Is that also your pattern, your trigger? And then the other thing that I keep coming back to as you're talking, and I feel like I've said this to you often, Brad, is that whenever you talk about pets, I always think about my kids. And it's such a weird thing, but I'm like, oh, they're like children. I mean, we jokingly call our pets our kids, but
Yeah.
there is so much of a thread there because they need our leadership. And I'm doing this like parenting course right now. And the woman, she talks about sturdy leadership. And I keep coming back to that. It's like everyone in our life needs sturdy leadership.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking about with our pets, is they need to see us as their guide, as their sturdy leader. And I think leadership can be difficult for people in general. But
Sure.
how can we begin to listen to our animals, the animals in our life or the pets in our lives? Julia, what are your thoughts?
I think it is to just observe what they're doing. So I have an example, a client from almost 2 years ago. She came to me because her dog, when she's walking, her dog would just stop and look at the trees or look at the squirrels or look at distractions and would not keep on finishing the walk. But she wants to finish this, I don't know, like 20, 30 minutes walk. And she came to me and she's like, I don't know how to fix my dog because he went to training classes, but he's just very stubborn. And when we asked, the dog said, well, she's not enjoying life. She's not the leader that I'm looking for. And when I said that to the client is an athlete, and she's like, I'm a leader. I'm very competitive. But what the dog wanted to say was she's too distracted and she's too overwhelmed with all the responsibilities, all her to-do lists. So it's not the calm and assertive leadership that he was looking for. He wants someone to that can really notice like the trees, the squirrels, like all the wonders and the nature and the outdoor. Not someone who's just, oh, I need to get to from point A to point B quickly. That really got the client to think about it. She was like, okay, and she's an athlete, so she's always on about improving herself. And she said to me, I'm going to try this. And so she tried this, and a year later, she wrote to me and she's like, you cannot believe my dog is like an entirely new dog. I don't even have to leash him. Like he would just come when cold because I think I'm a leader now. I'm the leader that he's looking for. And I was just, wow, that's such a wonderful thing that this relationship with human and animal, this is a co-creation. Both sides need to work on letting this blossom into something that is more significant, more profound, more meaningful. And being willing to do this work with your animal and being willing to listen and observe what they're doing. Because she said to me that sometimes she would just, even though she's impatient, she tells herself, okay, I'm just going to spend this just 1 minute and just look at what my dog is looking at and just see what he's really getting out of just stopping here and looking at the squirrel and enjoying the wildlife. And she said that it also changed her perspective on rest, on mindfulness. And I think that is very amazing.
That story really touched me. Oh my gosh. I could have started to cry. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And in order to get to that place, we have to start a lot of people off that aren't athletes and that don't have this inner or innate self-motivation or discipline or whatever. We give them tiny tasks. I'll tell them, just pretend that you have all the time in the world. I know you don't. I know you're rushing to get to work. I know you have to rush the kids and make sure they all have what they need to get to school. But for your dog's sake, you can't rush through. That just creates some more chaos. So pretend that you have plenty of time and slow down, take a deep breath, and do so with your dog. And wait, just give your dog a few minutes. They're overwhelmed constantly. They have billions of scent glands in their nose, literally goes straight from their mouth to their brain. And they have scent glands all over their paws. They're constantly reading and building pictures in their mind with all the information that they smell. And we can't even comprehend what that is. They can smell 1 drop of chlorine in 1,000 gallons of water, 1 drop of blood in 1,000 gallons of water. And that's just a regular dog, not even a scent hound, beagle, or a hound dog trained to go out and hunt. That's just a regular old mutt or rescue from down south or whatever. And in order to help people with that, asking them to slow down tends to be a springboard into, okay, now how do you get this comfortability and calmness a little further? You got to bring that a little further now and continue to make decisions that allow your dog to live comfortably in their own skin while still listening to you. I believe ultimately, in the end, our dogs have to have a level of trust and respect where they implicitly listen to our commands, because the world is full of dangers that they don't know about. And I can't communicate to them that truck is not going to kill them, or that all of these cars that are going by aren't scary. I know they're scary. The guy's just tiny, little, living on the ground, right? And he's smelling diesel and oil, and it's loud and overwhelming. They can hear 10 times better than us. It's an overwhelming world, and most dog owners simply don't know where to begin. But Julia's, I think, right on that the key is creating a spiritual connection between you and your dog. And that's why the monks of New Ski have created a program and then have for 50 years or so been training and breeding their own German Shepherds on the Two Top Mountain in upstate New York. And I consider those monks some of the best trainers in the world. And they're my good friends and mentors as well. And to see all of these shepherds just living in absolute harmony together with monks is a testament, and does really crystallize to me how important the relationship can be, how profound it can be. And it has ladders. So I'll tell people, like, if you think you have love for your dog now and he has love for you, and he's untrained and you don't even know what he's saying or what he's asking you to do, you keep asking him, what's it time for? What do you need? If you keep asking your dog what he needs, he's going to start making all weird decisions, because again, he's going to make dog decisions. So he's not going to say it's time to pay the mortgage. It's time to go food shopping. Or he's just like going to pee on things and mark stuff or bark or worse. So I think at best it becomes an inconvenience that they live with their dog and then they go from Frustrationville to Affectionville. But at worst, it's a severe danger to themselves or others with dogs that, not controllable, because they're all athletes. So if a dog gets into that state, they're a danger to the community. But like Kobe here, this is a war dog. He's a Cane Corso. He shouldn't have been brought into somebody's house to be a pet, particularly with young children. But the family didn't know that, and they got a beautiful little puppy that matured and turned into a ultra defensive guard dog who was spent thousands of years being bred by the Romans to fight alongside the hoplite warriors. And that's in his DNA, right? That's coded. It's coded there. Yeah. So some dogs are certainly much more suited to a particular lifestyle or family home environment than others. But if this guy's out and about, he's got to listen to me 100%. I have to be able to trust him, and he has to trust me. And he came to us biting and attacking, and he was scary as can be, just in his head, maybe stuck in the 1400s and or the 1200s and still in a Roman war. And I don't want to wake him up from that or have him snap out of that 10,000 years of conditioning. So I find out, what does he need? He needs to feel a level of safety that most other dogs don't, because he has this innate desire to protect and guard. And I don't really need that all the time. Most of the time, I don't want that at all. I've invited the UPS guy. I've invited my friends to come in, or invited the other dogs. And so I don't need him telling me that those dogs aren't okay, or that UPS guy is a threat, or the stranger from up the street is a threat. So I have to make him feel safe before I can help him learn new lessons. And in order to do that, I have to be open to this profound change and although we're all human, we get frustrated. A lot of dog owners get ultra frustrated with their dog. They think their dog should know not to go into the trash, and they yell when they come home from work, and that dog won't stay in a crate. He just barks and spins around. So that's no good. He hasn't been taught that's a wonderful place. And he hasn't been taught that the trash isn't for eating when you're gone. He thinks you left it there for him. Big pile of food and stuff to shred. Like it's the perfect thing for dogs. So they're surprised when you come home and yell at them. Like, and they do all of these calming gestures. Like they'll go like this, and it looks like guilt. And we tend to anthropomorphize dogs a lot. We put these human emotions on them, and sometimes it's appropriate. It's not always wrong or inappropriate to do that, just like it's not always inappropriate or inaccurate to compare them to children or humans. I think that helps us a lot. And it helps dog owners understand that this guy, even at 10 years old, is not going to be able to have the cognitive functioning of anything more than a 4-year-old. But he's still just a dog, and he's still going on instinct. And we always have to be aware of how much this particular dog can handle when we're training them or getting them used to weird new energy in the house, and to get them ready to open up to their humans. Because if they can't, then all they get is a dog that's really connected with their trainer. And who wants to pay for that? Who wants to waste their life making sure that their trainer's got this great relationship with their dog? Because it's temporary.
Exactly. So, what do some of these behaviors, and I know we touched upon this in general, but if we were to see things like anxiety or aggression or disobedience, is there sort of like an underlying key message that our pets are trying to share with us, or does it just vary based on whatever is going on in that moment, in that situation, in their environment?
So quickly, and I'd love to hear Julia's take on this too, but I say that it's usually a plea for help. That's the overall umbrella term. Now, there's all types of reasons why they're going to engage in these behaviors that we can start to drill down and figure out. Sometimes it's breed characteristics and combined with insecurity and past trauma, or sometimes it's miscommunication. There's a lot of reasons that the dogs are all born with 3 types of drive: pack, prey, and defensive, and they get stuck in those. They get stuck in prey drive, and that's why they're obsessed with everything that's moving. When they get stuck in defensive drive, which is why they're barking constantly, and they think it's their job to constantly protect and defend you. And so, yeah, I would say overall, it's a plea for help.
I would say the same. It's like a cry for you to notice. But in my work, it's usually a cry to notice your pattern. For example, dog barking. Sometimes for my clients, it would be because the client has boundary issues. So the dog doesn't feel safe with the humans. So it's trying to take on the protective role when the human should be the leader of the pack. And then for cats, for example, cats like marking their territory in their house. It's also sometimes because the human is not feeling safe. So, for example, I have a client that has her own trauma. So she's not trusting people. She doesn't believe that she's safe around men. And so her cat is spraying around the house because the cat is saying that it doesn't feel safe, and her pet owner, her human, doesn't feel safe either. So if her human can practice saying, affirming to herself that she deserves safety and she is safe, then the cat would eventually stop spraying. And so that's a behavior that can be the opposite of what the human is going through. It can also be the similar pattern of what the human's going through. sometimes it's important to look at how am I affecting my animal energetically because they are so sensitive to your vibe. And so they can immediately pick up on that and they take it up on themselves. And this negativity starts to accumulate in their body so they have to react. And so you have to think about how you are a contributor to their anxiety, their aggression, and how you can change by changing yourself.
Yeah, that's just something to sit with and reflect on, right? I think
I
I'm,
love it.
I'm
I agree.
thinking about my own. I just want to now just meditate with my own dog because I'm like, okay, well, what is she trying to tell us in during the day? Or you talked about the prey drive, right? We have chickens, and so we let the chickens out, and of course we like to have her out too with the chickens, but her immediate instinct is I'm gonna go and like round them up, and we're like, no, it's not time now, it's they just came out, and they're of course they're terrified of her, which is hilarious because she's this tiny little Yorkie thing. But it makes me really reflect on what is it that she needs. It's almost like what you said with your previous client, right? She really needed that time to look at the world and to rest. And so do you give them the thing that they're needing and wanting, and then perhaps that behavior changes over time because they're not then needing that drive, that instinct to do what they wanted to do, which for my dog was to go and run after the chickens, right? It might be something else.
Yeah, you could give them an alternative behavior
Yeah,
that nurtures that same
exactly.
need for drive without putting her in danger or any other animals in danger. And we do that a variety of ways as trainers. We use all types of sports, agility, jumping, going under tunnels and through tunnels and up onto high walks and places that feel weird. So we're constantly exposing them to this duality of uncomfortability and the fears that they have while overcoming those fears. That builds resilience in our dogs. Removing their obstacles only brings us back to insulating them more and creating a dog that's just reliant on a human. And then we have this toxicity and this cycle that never ends. So we've got to nurture our dogs. Like 5 minutes of drills, one-on-one drills, is better than a 2 mile walk outside where the dog's in charge, 6 feet ahead on a long lead, constantly pulling a human wherever they want to go, sniffing and marking everything. So dogs are in charge. If the dog's in charge of the walk's going to be awful. And if he's way out front, that's a clear designation that he is in charge. And that means you want him to alert, you want him to protect you, and you want him to be the leader. If you put him at your heel and step a foot in front of him, everything changes. That reactive dog now has a new message from you. It's just this one little minor switch. Instead of him way out there, now he's at your heel. And a short leash will keep him at your heel. And you slow down the cadence. And so I forget where I was going with that, but it's hard to get dog owners open to this. They really want to fix the dog. They want the trainers to fix the dog. And that's why board and trains they're very desirable to dog owners, and they're often a scam because, again, what's that doing to the dog? Like, we can teach the dog how to do something, how to listen, or how to be neutral in public with us. But if that human can't replicate the relationship by creating the schedule that dog needs to feel safe at home, then they're going to miss that relationship and lose trust. And as a result, lose respect. And then you've got a dog that's now once again in charge. And people look at the dog and say, I don't know how to fix him, when it's really like Julia mentioned, it's a two-way street. Like, you have to constantly consider this particular dog and what her needs are and how to nurture her. And most dogs will become more balanced when they have a schedule they can rely on that gives them intellectual stimulation and constant outlets and forced downtime where we say, okay, now it's time to rest. It's not up to you in this moment. You make terrible decisions and you eat your own poop and you pee on all the beautiful flowers. Like, those are terrible decisions. And you'll go through whatever, the trash, and eat the wrapper. So let me make this decision now for you. And you are sitting down and you're laying down and now you're staying down. Good dog. I'm going to go do some human things. Then that safety and the trust and the respect is, I know my human's coming back to me. And so they don't have this need to go and get in trouble or make their own decisions. So I loved hearing Julia use the word safety so much, because that is a point that's also missing a lot in the industry due to the, in my opinion, the pure positive and force-free movement, which is also a scam. We don't see that in Mother Nature anywhere. We don't see that when sires and madams create a beautiful litter of puppies. They immediately start telling them, nope, that's dangerous. Nope, you bit your brother too hard. Nope, it's not time to eat right now. Dad starts that right away. Mom starts that right away. And then the siblings become a pack. And the leaders are mom and dad. And as they start to grow up, they're separated, because that's how we've been doing it for thousands of years. They're not designed to stay together. Most trainers won't even train siblings of the same pack, because you can look up dog sibling syndrome, and it's a huge challenge to get dogs that are brother and sister or sister and sister to cohabitate and harmoniously live together. It can be done, of course, but it's just another challenge.
When we get pets, you try to take care of their basic needs, right? They need to be fed, they need to have a place to go to the bathroom, and you have to be on a schedule and take them out. But I think often, and I'm going to put myself in this category, where you're not thinking about like the bigger relationship. I mean, of course, you're like, oh, I'm going to love this animal. They're in our life, they're in our home, we're going to share them with our family. But there's this deeper connection that really needs to happen. And I love knowing that they're teaching me as much as I'm teaching them, and like it's a mutual like learning relationship, because that helps me shift my perspective in terms of how am I going to approach my pet every single day. It's not just here's your food, and goodbye type of thing, right? It's really always being there and understanding their needs, what's not said, becoming a lot more intuitive. And I think we all have that in us. We know in one way or another, we have those little like gut reactions of, I think that's what they need type of thing. So yeah, I'm going to leave with more of that and thinking about how I can show up better for my pet. Just to sort of wrap things up, but what would you say are 1 to 2 just simple things that someone can do to help build a better connection with their animal, Julia?
I always tell my client to just have like 5 minutes a day. And I know that everyone is always rushing for time, but if you just have 5 minutes a day, and if you can just sit down and practice mindfulness with your animal, and or meditate if you have more time, like 10-15 minutes with your animal, and really connect with their animal energy, their animal vibe. It's really going to help build a deeper bond with them, because, I mean, why have you invited this animal into your life? You've essentially signed a contract to work on yourself, not just helping those animals' basic needs, because you're going to have to adjust your life, and you need to, if you have a messy routine, you have to readjust and then have a good routine to spend life with this animal. So it's essentially signing a contract that you're going to work on yourself.
Mm.
And that kind of mindfulness practice can help you realize the calm and peacefulness that you can feel in animals. because there's beauty in their simplicity. They only care about this one thing in this moment. So I feel they're a master in how to be present in this moment. They could be frustrated that you're not giving them treats this moment, but the next second you say we're going to the dog park, then they get excited, right? So they're really living in that moment. So try to experience that in your everyday. And if not every moment, then just that 5 minutes. That could really help you get very grounded and maintain this neutrality when there's chaos around. And when you are so grounded, then your animal is grounded too. So this is like co-creation of a better life for the both of you. So that's the major thing that I think is probably the most important thing I feel for every animal owner, even with cats, even with hamsters, even if you have goldfish, just look at them swimming in a tank. Yeah, just enjoy the beauty of life, like how they enjoy the beauty of life.
I love that. And agree that it's important to start them off slow. So one push-up is better than no push-ups, right? So then one crunch is better than no crunches. So we tend to think, well, I can't have 2 hours at the gym, so I might as well not go work out at all. And that's how we get out of shape. But really, just take 15 minutes a day, do some plyometrics and some stretching, some yoga, and do it with your dog and see how they reveal themselves to you in a completely different way. So just spend that time not talking. One of our axioms is act, don't speak. So don't verbally speak to your dog constantly. Just shut up and open your ears and listen to your dog, because they're not constantly talking. And if you are, and then you also yell in the house, then your dog is going to do the same. You're not modeling that quiet, calm, comfortable, anchored experience. And that's really like when you say grounding, I think we need to be an anchor for our pets, dogs, birds, snakes, everything. And when using other animals as an example, I often say, if you had a horse or a chameleon, would you just let it go in the living room and then have it figure it out? Like, no, but we do that with dogs because they're domesticated and we expect them to just figure it out without much thought as to how much work actually goes into raising a dog or rehabilitating a shelter animal, and how much time that takes from us. And if we can't be mindful, and I think meditation and prayer, we do blessings of the animals, and people love that because it does give them this, I think, visual representation of how mindful our dogs can be if we stop that spinning in their head. And they get that spinning like a hamster that just can't get off that roll. Then we can see the beauty of their mindfulness. And then we can start teaching them things. But there's nothing to be taught if you send your child to school and he didn't sleep last night and he's starving, he's not ready to learn. And then we ask him to learn for 6 hours at a time. And it's the same thing with dogs. We have to give them time. Just stand at the door for a few minutes. Don't go out. Just stand at the door, open and close it a bunch of times before you say, okay, now we walk. And you walk out first, just to show that you're leading this walk. And slowly, very slowly, so that the dog's not constantly rocketing from one activity to another and doesn't have an off switch. A dog with an off switch is well trained and understands that everything is good in their life and they want for nothing. And that's true mindfulness. You get to see that when I'm playing guitar for them, even though I'm terrible at it, or singing to them after they earned it. They worked for that. They work for their time off. I don't think dogs above one should be fed breakfast because they're just immediately given food for existing. I think that sets them off on a day that's going to be chaotic. So have that food in your pocket if you want to give them breakfast and make them work for it. So ask them to sit and then down and stay. And this can be at 5 or 6 a.m. before they go outside for their first potty. It only takes 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Then you give them a little handful of treats. And now they go out and they go potty, and they've immediately started what Mother Nature has them coded for. The migration, foraging, eating, playing, community, resting, and repeat. So that's what they're looking for. And they're like, what is their job? What are they supposed to do each day? And that's why we give so many dogs backpacks, and we teach them how to hold their own food, and we give them these drills that they can do. Any little task is a job that they have completed. And whether successful or not, if you're trying with them, they're respecting you for that. And that, again, is this springboard into another level. But we've really got to get dog owners on board with the recognition that you have one of the most, in my opinion, dogs are the most spiritual of all animals. And I love them all, birds. And I've had every pet you can think of. We're having a petting zoo here soon with capybaras and emus. And I want people to bring their dogs by on leash with enough radius so that they still feel safe, but they can smell all of these different animals and not care about them. So we don't flood them with that information because that's usually too overwhelming for most dogs. But we can expose them to it. And once they understand that their job is not to go run and chase the chickens or the prey, we can have dogs outside near a paddock with horses and deer, and they stay at our sides with no leashes because that's, well, how much they've learned to trust us. And so if they trust you that much, you'll never be on a lost dog page looking for help. And those pages are just, they're heartbreaking to me because it's so simple in my viewpoint to teach a dog how to not run out into the woods and run away from you. And why are they running away from you? What's missing in the relationship where they think they're in jail and that there's something way better out there? Everything you need is here. I have everything. And that's how they should see you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for this, for all of these insights. This is so helpful. Julia, where can people learn more about you if they're interested in soul level animal communication?
They can go to my website, and I've created this pet oracle deck because I know some people can be skeptical, so they're not willing to dive into a real reading. But I have this pet oracle deck that essentially I just collected most of the behaviors that I've been through in my readings with my clients, and I have them as behaviors and also how they are reflected in our human behaviors, our patterns. So this Oracle deck would be an online platform for International Pet Day.
Oh my gosh, no, that sounds amazing. That sounds,
Yeah,
first of all, when is the International Pet Day? I didn't even know. When is that?
It's
I never.
April 11th.
April 11th. Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would love to refer people to you, Julia.
Oh, yes. I love talking to animals. They don't use flattery. They always are honest with their humans.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard for humans. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I think it's a reminder for us to look at ourselves and how to improve ourselves so that we can improve the life of our animals.
Yeah, I love it. Great.
And you, Brad, where can people find you if they want to get their dogs trained? Of course, you're only in Pepperell, but I mean, hey.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. I do video calls
Oh, cool.
sometimes, but mostly we're at 1 Tucker Street in Pepperell. So the facility we've made, it's about 5,000 square feet and has multiple rooms and a couple buildings. And there's a full agility center. And we're just starting PT and for dogs after surgery, red laser healing, obesity training, and my goal is eventually to have a facility with every legitimate resource that a dog owner needs. And so somebody like Julia and a veterinarian and fast cat system. And so that's where dogs race this little, it looks like prey, but it goes flying on this line at any speed you want. Yeah, and it goes around in a rectangle, and sometimes it's thousands of feet, depending on what dog it is. And so they just fly after it, and it's all remote control. It's very cool. But anyway, the goal is to expand out walking, training, listening, and rehabilitation, and to complete veterinary care and post care, and very ultimately, we deep and spiritual and profound relationships with their animals. And again, particularly dogs, that's my specialty, but I think it's true with all animals.
I love that. Thank you both for being here and for sharing your stories, your experience. I'm very grateful.
Thank you
Same.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you for listening. If you're interested in becoming a client and working with me, visit me at nunatherapy.com or follow me on social media at Nuna Therapy for regular content and inspiration. Until next time.